Trying to fit into one-size-fits-all solutions is so frustrating and lacking efficiency in any kind of change you want to make. My favorite thing about Weight is that I'm encouraged and supported to choose better habits for my health based on who I am and how I like to live. Food loggings keep me aware of my eating habits, and my coach Olivia helps me make better choices by using a psychology-based approach. I believe in the power of habits, gratitude habits, healthy eating habits. They give us the long-term results we're after, whether we want to lose weight or enjoy a happier life. Having an off day is okay. Being flexible, not stressful, is what Weight is about, and that's why I love them. And making progress each day is what we gratitude seekers are all about. So start building better habits for healthier long-term results. Sign up for your trial at noom.com/gratitude. That's noom.com/gratitude. Hi Gratitude Seeker, welcome to this stress relief gratitude affirmation meditation. We're all dealing with stress one way or another, whether it comes from the outside, from work, from home, in general from the stress of other people, or it comes from our own inner stress, the pressure that we put on ourselves, the sometimes unreasonable expectations that we have for ourselves. Either way, we experience stress. This episode is for you if you are experiencing stress, or if you want to build resilience for future situations in which you might feel stressed out. And without further ado, let's take a deep breath in and a deep breath out. And another one. And the third one. And now, repeat after me in your mind or out loud. As I am now grateful, I prioritize my self-care habits. As you are now grateful, you prioritize your self-care habits. As we are now grateful, we prioritize our self-care habits. As I am now grateful, I know that just taking a deep breath in through my nose and slowly out my mouth will help release the pressure. As you are now grateful, you know that just taking a deep breath in through your nose and slowly out through your mouth will help you release the pressure. As we are now grateful, we know that just taking a deep breath in through our nose and out slowly through our mouth will help us release the pressure. As I am now grateful, I find it easier to focus on the things I can control. As you are now grateful, you find it easier to focus on the things you can control. As we are now grateful, we find it easier to focus on the things we can control. As I am now grateful, I focus on one thing at a time. As you are now grateful, you focus on one thing at a time. As we are now grateful, we focus on one thing at a time. As I am now grateful, I find it easier to detach from the stress and pressure from other people. As you are now grateful, you find it easier to detach from the stress and the pressure from other people. As we are now grateful, we find it easier to detach from the stress and the pressure from other people. As I am now grateful, I'm aware of my own emotions and the emotions of other people. As you are now grateful, you're aware of your own emotions and the emotions of others. As we are now grateful, we're aware of our own emotions and the emotions of others. As I am now grateful, I choose to stay centered and solution focused. As you are now grateful, you choose to stay centered and solution focused. As we are now grateful, we choose to stay centered and solution focused. As I am now grateful, I know if one solution doesn't work, there's always an alternative. As you are now grateful, you know that if one solution doesn't work, there's always an alternative solution. As we are now grateful, we know that if one solution doesn't work, there's always an alternative solution. As I am now grateful, I realize that I'm safe and secure even if I don't get everything done in time. As you are now grateful, you realize that you're safe and secure even if you don't get everything done in time. As we are now grateful, we realize that we're safe and secure even if we don't get everything done in time. As I am now grateful, I'm becoming aware that my worth isn't tied to me getting things done. As you are now grateful, you're becoming aware that your worth isn't tied to you getting things done. As we are now grateful, we're becoming aware that our worth as people isn't tied to us getting things done. As I am now grateful, I'm accessing my capacity to respond instead of react. As you are now grateful, you're accessing your brain's capacity to respond instead of react. As we are now grateful, we're accessing our brain's capacity to respond instead of to react. As I am now grateful, I'm seeing smart and painless solutions for the things that used to stress me out. As you are now grateful, you are seeing smart and painless solutions to the things that used to stress you out. As we are now grateful, we're seeing smart and painless solutions to the things that used to stress us out. As I am now grateful, I see myself bigger than the things I'm stressing about. As you are now grateful, you see yourself bigger than the things that you're stressing about. As we are now grateful, we see ourselves bigger than the things that we're stressing about. As I am now grateful, I know I can make it. As you are now grateful, you know you can make it. As we are now grateful, we know we can make it. As I am now grateful, I realize that I have enough time for everything. As you are now grateful, you realize that you have enough time for everything. As we are now grateful, we realize that we have enough time for everything. As I am now grateful, I'm happy knowing that I'm in control and able to take on the challenges that used to stress me out. As you are now grateful, you're happy knowing that you're in control and able to take on the challenges that used to stress you out. As we are now grateful, we're happy knowing that we're in control and able to take on the challenges that used to stress us out. As I am now grateful, I feel calm and empowered. As you are now grateful, you feel calm and empowered. As we are now grateful, we feel calm and empowered. Thank you so much for listening. This has been Georgian Banta of the Gratitude Podcast. Join me each week for a new gratitude affirmation episode. Hit the follow button or use the link in the description to get notified directly in your inbox. Thanks to the guys at Digitant Podcast that are handling my sponsorships, I'm blessed to have time to focus on the creative part of the podcast, on serving you better and on reaching even more people towards my goal of helping 100,000 people to discover gratitude and make it an empowering part of their life. One of the things I was able to see recently is how the podcast is doing in different countries, and I'm so grateful for my American listeners for supporting me and the podcast with their numerous positive ratings and reviews, my Australian listeners that have rated and reviewed the podcast, and my dear British listeners that are incredibly polite even in their ratings. The podcast has 5 stars out of 5 in the UK. But I was shocked a bit about the Canadian ratings. Some people say that you reach success when you don't only have fans, but you also have haters. It seems that there are some people in Canada that for some reason dislike the podcast. I'm not sure why, because they only left 1-star ratings and not reviews, so I don't know what I can improve. But I was even more surprised since the second biggest listener base is in Canada. So if you're tuning in from Canada and you enjoy the podcast, please take 30 seconds and scroll down to the stars in the Apple Podcasts and leave a rating. And if you have time for a review, I'd be even more grateful. We have a 3.6 star average on the Canadian Apple Podcasts, and I'm thinking people might pass on listening to the podcast when seeing that. So I need your help to balance things out. As we're doing with gratitude and negative thoughts or habits, sure they come, but gratitude helps us balance them out and make for a better life altogether. If only the negative thoughts or ratings in this case are expressed, we get a biased perception of reality. So if you're enjoying the podcast, leave a positive rating so that the others will know that it's not that bad. If you don't know how, I've posted a YouTube short clip in the description to guide you. Thank you so much for doing this with me. I really appreciate your support.
My name is Anthony Capizzoli. I am the host of the Dismantled Life podcast, and I'm a recovering alcoholic and drug addict after nearly 40 years of addiction. I have been clean and sober for nearly 4 years and work hard to help others find recovery. Join me each episode to learn from my sober superhero guests and how they went from the darkness of addiction into the sunlight of recovery. Dismantled Life can be found on Digitent Podcasts, Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.